It's not about the hair or the eyes or the skin or the clothes you wear. There's so much more beneath the surface. Open your eyes, open your mind. Don't judge a book by its cover. On the inside is the best of me. On the outside isn't all you'll see. Let me show you who I really am. On the outside isn't all you'll see. On the inside is the best of me. Let me show you who I really am. Can we let our inner beauty shine like the stars in the sky above? Can we put our differences aside? Where love is our guide. Open your mind. You'll see something you never saw before. You'll see something you never saw. On the inside is the best of me. On the outside isn't all you'll see. Let me show you who I really am. On the outside isn't all you'll see. On the inside is the best of me. Let me show you who I really am. We could change the way we see each other. Find a little more love to go around. We could hold our heads up high together for a while, for a while. On the inside is the best of me. On the outside isn't all you'll see. Let me show you who I really am. On the outside isn't all you'll see. On the inside is the best of me. Let me show you who I really am. Let me show you who I really am. Let me show you who I really am.
Welcome to myFace, myStory, Voices from the Craniofacial Community, with your host, Dina Zuckerberg.
Hello and welcome. You are tuned into myFace, myStory, Voices from the Craniofacial Community. We are a group of peers that see each other, hold space for one another, and support each other as we navigate life while living with and supporting those who are living with facial differences, like cleft lip and palate, Apert syndrome, and Treacher-Collins syndrome. And don't forget to click subscribe so that you'll never miss a future episode. I am Dina Zuckerberg, Director of Family Programs at myFace. I was born with a cleft lip, a hearing loss, and no vision in my left eye. But it has never stopped me from doing anything I've ever wanted to do in my life. I had 6 surgeries, years of orthodontics, and speech therapy growing up. I was teased in school. Kids would say mean things, and I would sit alone sometimes on the school bus and in the lunchroom. I always say there is power in the shared story, in knowing you are not alone. So anyone out there like me, I see you. We all do. It's about people like us being seen and heard, about sharing stories from the craniofacial community. September is Craniofacial Acceptance Month. There are over 20 different craniofacial differences, cleft lip and palate being the most common. And almost every hour, a child is born in the U.S. with a craniofacial difference. September is also when myFace will hold its annual Races for Faces event. This year, it will be virtual. It will be on Sunday, September 19th, to raise awareness for the craniofacial community and critical funds for myFace. You can learn more at racesforfaces.org. Thank you so much for joining us for a conversation with Joe Graf Jr. and Nancy Graf, who will share their story of having a family member with a craniofacial difference and why it is important to them to raise awareness for myFace and craniofacial differences. But first, I would like to introduce our special guest. Joe Graf Jr. is a 23-year-old rising star on the racing scene, receiving unprecedented attention and quickly becoming a fan favorite. Last year, he took his experience and talent to NASCAR's second most popular division, the Xfinity Series. Paired with Bobby Dotter's SS Green Light Racing Team, Graf Jr. Racing in the 07 car. Outside of the race car, Graf has become a public figure on social media and a supporter of myFace. He will be racing for myFace for the second year in a row. Nancy Graf is a mom to 3 children. Her daughter was born with hemifacial microsomia and single-sided deafness. Nancy's true passion comes from volunteering and helping others, and she currently serves on the board of myFace. Welcome, Joe and Nancy. We are so happy to have you join us, and thank you both for being here with us today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here too.
Yeah.
Me too. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you. So, Nancy, can you start us off by telling us about your daughter and her craniofacial difference, and maybe explain what her condition is?
So I have 3 children. My daughter is my second of 3, and she was born with hemifacial microsomia, which is one side of her face, or it could be both, but in her situation, it's one side of her face was underdeveloped, and she had single-sided deafness in her left ear. So when she was born, that was the first that we knew anything about it. At the time, sonograms weren't as advanced, so we did not know until she was born that she was going to have a craniofacial difference.
And what was it like for you when you learned that your daughter had hemifacial microsomia and single-sided deafness?
So it was certainly an emotional time. We didn't know what to expect. We love our children, as we all do, and you hope and pray that there's nothing wrong with your children. And at the time, we just thought of all the challenges as parents that we were going to face and how little we actually knew at that moment. So yeah, it was challenging for sure.
And I assume your daughter has had several surgeries, and when did she start having surgeries? And yeah, so I'll start with that.
So her first surgery or procedure was when she was 5 months old. And I just remember how difficult it was to go to the hospital. I think the most challenging at that point was we couldn't feed her after a certain point. So you're bringing in a hungry, upset child with parents that are even more upset for her first procedure. She went through it like a champ. And then we started preparing for other procedures when she was older. So they had braces put on. She had some fat grafting, and her major surgery was when she was 15. And that was like a 7-hour procedure. So,
oh, wow.
Yes.
And I assume you found a hospital that had a craniofacial care team and a comprehensive team for you?
So we were very fortunate. My husband, for his career traveled quite a lot. So he had the benefit of going to different doctors and different places and kind of interviewing, so to speak, or I guess the better word is educating the two of us so that when it came time, we could make the best decision for our daughter. She was older, so she was involved in it as we got older, and we ultimately did choose a hospital that had a craniofacial care. It was NYU Langone, and I know myFace Center for Craniofacial Care was at NYU Langone Health, so that was very helpful for us.
Yeah, and I know for myself, especially, so I was born also with a hearing loss, and so I hear nothing on the right, and we're hearing aid on my left. And I know for me, I imagine that for your daughter too, she found it particularly difficult during the pandemic when everyone was wearing masks. I know for myself, as someone who reads lips, I found it incredibly challenging. I was wondering, I would think that your daughter had the same challenges.
Absolutely. I think, and you may understand this better than I understand this, and my daughter obviously does. I don't think she was aware of how much she read lips because she was born with single-sided deafness until the ability to read lips was taken away. So yes, she certainly relied on lip reading, I'm sorry. And also she would position herself in such a way where she could hear the person talking. So 6 feet of social distancing and mask wearing has been a challenge, definitely.
Yeah, it's true for me too. I don't think I realized until that happened how much I did read lips and how significant that was when it was taken away. So
You're right.
I totally can get it.
Yeah.
So I know you are the oldest of your the three of you. What was it like for you growing up to have a sister who has a facial difference?
It it was definitely challenging at times, but I can't say enough about my sister. She has like really conquered all of her challenges. I look up to her in so many ways. Like I know she's had her challenges and she's had her challenges growing up, but really like what she's been able to do and what she still is doing with her life is just unbelievable. She's we both played lacrosse growing up and everything, and I was a decent lacrosse player, but I mean, even through her challenges, she ended up being the captain of her lacrosse team, one of the best teams in California.
Wow.
Absolutely kills it in school. Like she like I look up to her in a lot of ways, and it's all of her challenges she's definitely taken in stride, and really like the way she's worked through everything in her life is just unbelievable. She has an unbelievable work ethic, and like she had a lot of struggles growing up, but she never really puts it on other people. She's like, we're always there to help her, but she like is just an unbelievable human being in the sense that she's able to conquer anything.
Amazing. I hope to actually meet your sister one day. I've not had the pleasure yet, but I really hope to meet her one day. She sounds, from everything I've heard from both you and your mom, that she is one amazing person. So so one of the books that I loved that I read is Wonder, a young adult novel by R.J. Palacio about a boy who is homeschooled till the 5th grade. He has a craniofacial difference, and then he's mainstreamed in school in the 5th grade. And I know you both read the book and have seen the movie, and I was wondering what it was, how that book had an impact on both of you. So I don't know if Nancy, you want to.
So I'll start.
Okay.
I think the book was incredible for so many reasons. It brought so much awareness to something people that aren't in the craniofacial community can understand. So for Andrea, for my daughter. I think it just made a world of difference. Just knowing, and anybody in that situation, just knowing that they're not alone was so important, because I'm a believer, and I'll always say this. I've said this to you, Dina. I've said it to my children, that you need a great support system. And I think Wonder created that awareness and that support system.
It really did. I think for me, it was I say it, that it was the first book I read that I really resonated with the book, even from the first page, when Augie's talking about wishing he had a magic lamp. And I remember on my birthday wishing, when I was blowing out the candles, that I could look like the other kids. And it's just, I mean, I read it in one sitting. It was just an amazing, yeah. So, yeah, Joe, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's a lot of what I try to do with myFace as well, is just bring awareness to the cause and what people are going through, right? And that, like, the book and the movie did a tremendous job of just shining a light on that and showing some of the struggles that Augie faced. And like, it's a tremendous read and a tremendous movie. Anybody who hasn't seen it should definitely give it a look. But I mean, it helped me understand some things that I truly could never understand.
Yeah, and actually, it's going to be the 10th anniversary of Wonder in February. I can't believe it's been 10 years already.
I can't either.
I know. So I just want to take a minute to remind our live viewers that you can ask your questions in the live chat right now, and we'll ask them later in the program. So again, put your questions in the live chat. So I want to turn now to teasing, bullying. Was your daughter stared at, excluded, teased, or bullied as a child because of her difference?
I can certainly, in my opinion, say that she was excluded. I think in a world of social media, it's very challenging because children see the highlight reel of everybody. They also see events happening that their friends and their peers are attending, but they're not. So I think that was definitely a challenge. I don't want to say that she was bullied, where people said mean things to her, but just not saying anything sometimes, or not including, was just as hurtful.
Yeah, I think sometimes, I think that all the time. I think it's those subtle things. It's the exclusion, is talking behind somebody's back, is sitting alone and not being included, all of that. I think that it can be so much more hurtful in some ways than that one-time bullying act sometimes. And I think, and the staring too, I think can happen.
And one more thing, if you don't mind, Dina. I think with Andrea, because she has single-sided deafness, I think the hard part was sometimes you're in situations, especially taller ceilings or outside, where sound is harder to centralize. And I'm sure, again, Dina, you experienced this.
Absolutely.
That sometimes things are said and they're not heard, and people immediately feel that you may be ignoring them, when in fact that's not reality. So I think that sometimes was also a challenge, where because something in a hallway might have been said passing, but you could have been passing on the left side where you can't hear, and things, that was very challenging as well.
Yeah,
things could definitely be misunderstood there. And I mean, the biggest challenge there too, it's not like, in my opinion, it's not even just that you can't necessarily hear, it's that you can't locate the sound too. Like that becomes difficult. I think about my profession and what I did playing sports coming up and everything. It's unbelievable to me that she was the lacrosse player she was, not being able to locate sound and centralize sound like that. And I think it was definitely a challenge, but I don't know how she does it, but she's done a really good job of getting around it.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I think when you are born with your difference, I know for me, I didn't know any different. And so it becomes a part of who I am. I mean, I could ski down a mountain without seeing out of one eye and without one ear, but I never really thought about it any differently. So I didn't know what I didn't know. So
Right.
I think, and I think same for you, I think, and for your daughter, I had that incredible support from my parents and my family and people. Grew up believing I could do anything I wanted to do. So I never saw those challenges. And I think it sounds like that was the same for you and your daughter. I think as long as you give your child that confidence and that belief that they can do anything, you can. I mean, yeah.
So again, I'm the parent of 3 children, and we have expectations of our children to do their best. And of course, they're individuals, so their best is different, and definitely different for whatever the occasion may be. But like you just said, you treated them all as kind, caring individuals, and no different. I don't know. In obviously some ways you have to treat them different because they are different individuals, but not because of any challenges they had. So everybody has challenges. And I think as parents, we just gave them the tools that they needed to overcome those challenges.
Yeah. The biggest thing I think my parents, raising us 3 kids, were able to do is just not show us that there was a limit, right? Like, not put a limit on what we could do with our lives for really any reason. Obviously, there's always a limit, but they did a phenomenal job of not allowing us to see that and allowing us to work to our limit and our potential ourselves.
Right. Yeah. So did your daughter go to a regular school, and did she need special services?
So she did go to a regular school or public elementary school from kindergarten to her freshman year. And the services were more where she sat in the classroom and what side of the classroom to better hear the students and the teacher. I do remember when she transferred to a private high school. She went to a very academic high school, which I'm very proud of her for getting to that level. I remember us doing some homework to kind of share Andrea's experience, and technology again is incredible. That my husband found something that you could put headphones on and actually understand what a person with single-sided deafness hears or doesn't hear. So they have you in a classroom or at a cafeteria or a restaurant. And I have to tell you, I was astonished at how not having hearing in one ear affects the conversation. But like you said, Dina, because you were born with that, you don't know. But for us, kudos for you and my daughter for overcoming those challenges. Wow.
Yeah.
But sharing that information with teachers was very helpful. It was very helpful.
Yeah, I think it's important to let the teachers know. I get asked this all the time. How do I let the teachers in the school know about my child and the differences and the other kids even? And so I do think that is important, and finding, again, that support within the school when you need it. So, Joe, did you ever find yourself having to intervene on behalf of your sister or defend her growing up? Or I'll ask that first. Yeah.
Not any more than any older brother would, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's always situations, right? But in all reality, Andrea, like I don't want to understate how intelligent my sister is. She has done unbelievable things, and she's going to do unbelievable things with her life. Went to one of the best high schools in the country, is at
Right.
one of the top colleges in the country now, and she is by far one of the smartest people I've ever met. And she has done a really good job of handling a lot of her own problems and her situations. And she's come to us when there's been issues with just normal kid stuff, right? But like, I don't feel I've ever had to defend her any more than like a normal older brother type of role.
Right. So I'd like to turn now to, because I think it's not just about the surgeries, right? It's about also the psychosocial impact that having a facial difference can have. And I think the psychosocial care is so important, if not more important sometimes. It's not just the surgeries and the medical care. And so can you elaborate on that? And I know that was
Yes.
one of the things you guys came to myFace really wanting to do.
No, of course. That's something that my sister has been super adamant about. Actually, a massive reason as to why I support myFace and why I've done what I've done. And she was really the one that brought me into myFace, like educated me on what you guys do and everything with that. And really, it was like her explaining to me everything that goes into this outside of the surgeries and the psychological things and everything else that really made me want to support myFace as much as I do.
So we actually have a question from Stephanie. How does your daughter remain so resilient?
So again, I think it's the support network. I think it's that I've surrounded myself with some incredible organizations, myFace, just every day. Let's just be honest. Life is challenging and life is hard for all of us. There are some days that are more challenging than others, maybe more so for my daughter, but I think you have to embrace that and understand that and just realize that there will be good days and you have to lean on your support network. And in this case, like you're saying, Dina, that's why it was so important for Andrea to have the outside care that she's receiving, the outside services that myFace gives to so many families. I remember going to Races for Faces when it was live. That was my first event. Then I was invited to the talent show to see the myFace stars shine like they do. And we all have our strengths. We just have to really remember and tap into those strengths. I think that's why she remains so resilient, but not every day is an easy day. Most days are very successful, and she is very driven, as Joe will attest and has. She's very determined and has been since she was an infant. So I think sometimes your challenges make you stronger, make you more empathetic, make you the person that you are. And I think that's what keeps her moving forward, that she's aware of such things.
I think what you said is so true. And that I know for myself, I guess maybe because I had the challenges, I was more my father always talks about how I never gave up. So when I was learning to ski, and I had a ski instructor, and literally had me climbing up a little bunny hill and skiing down, and my dad said, I don't remember this, he said I did it like 20 times in that day. Like, I was just so determined and so, I think, resilient. I think I see it in the craniofacial community, and I think it's so true. And I also think to remember that it's a journey. I mean, it's from the moment the child's born until through their adult years. It's a journey that that has many pieces or steps in that journey. And even today, I'm still on that journey. So, yeah.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is you just have to find your niche, find what you enjoy, find what you like to do, and chase that. I mean, obviously you have to focus on everything in life, but when you find something that you enjoy and it makes you happy, like, chase that, and it makes the bad days better and it makes the good days great. I mean, that's one thing I feel my sister's done a tremendous job with, and she'll continue to do that.
So, speaking of passion, I wanted to ask you, Joe, why did you decide to become a race car driver? And can you tell us a little bit about it?
So I grew up going to the racetrack, watching my dad race on a short track local level. I remember my sister and her entrepreneurial spirit actually started a candy stand at the racetrack too, selling candy all summer. She made a bunch of money doing that for a kid, but it was that it was a hobby. I started racing with my dad, did it ourselves. Then it wasn't until I turned 17 or 18 that I really wanted to make a career out of this. I always kind of dreamed of it, but I wasn't on that path. It wasn't until then that I decided I really wanted to try to make a run at this. And I ended up going to school and racing, which there's not a lot of people who are full-time students and full-time race car drivers too. But it's been super rewarding. It's been able to really offer insights into the business side of racing. It helps with sponsorship and different partners to keep me racing and keep us successful on the track. And it's just like the number one thing that's always kept me in racing and always drives me to continue doing it is the competition. I'm an extremely competitive person. I will race shopping carts with you. It doesn't matter. I'm extremely competitive, and to me, like, racing is the ultimate competition. It's just there's so many different parts to it that you have to be successful at all of them to really be a successful race car driver. It's the business side. It's having a good team behind you. It's being able to operate the vehicle to the best of its ability as a driver. It's the physical side of it. It's not just one thing you have to be good at. You have to be good at all of them to really excel. And I just really love that chase and that competition aspect.
So why do you then race for myFace? Why is that important to you?
So I race for myFace because my sister got me involved in it. She told me about your message. She told me how I can help people and I can help kids, and I was all for that. I saw what she conquered growing up. I saw the challenges that she had, and if I can help kids be like Andrea and conquer their challenges, I am 100% for that, and I want to do everything I can to help get there.
Well, we at myFace thank you for that. We actually have a question from Scott, and he wants to know, did your sister, daughter find inspiration in someone else's story as she was developing her own self, her own story?
So I'll take this first. Someone else's story. I think there are a lot of stories from a very young age. Because she's my second child, I would read stories to Joe, and they would be more advanced stories. And Andrea would sit there and listen to them so intently, couldn't wait for the next page, was so she would just read. She would go to the library every week and take out books upon books. And she would get wrapped up in those stories, I think, as she was creating her own story. I can't tell you, maybe because of all those stories, she has become such an incredible writer that maybe someday she'll share her story on some levels. But the writing that she has shared with me, and I shared a piece with you the other day, Dina, just so powerful. So I think she has had so many other people's stories by reading books. You can certainly get lost in a book, and it's really helped her tremendously.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's found inspiration and role models in so many different stories and people, and some of them aren't even real people. They're in a book, right? It's I don't think there's one that you can really say was her inspiration. It was just a plethora of everything that she found in herself and found in these books and found in other people in her life.
Yes. And I loved the piece of writing you shared with me a couple of days ago. It was so amazing, and I can't wait. And I really hope that she'll share her story one day, because I think it will be really powerful. And because I always say there is power in that shared story and knowing you're not alone. So, Nancy, as a mom, what advice would you give to a parent who's just learning that they have a child with a craniofacial difference?
So I think the advice I would give is there's definitely going to be, this is a journey, like you said, Dina, and it's very hard to start that journey. Some days are challenging, but I think what you need to do is find your support. Start with family, start with friends, start asking questions, start looking into myFace. I would strongly recommend the support groups that you have are amazing, so that you know you're not alone. You're at the beginning, so a person that is in the craniofacial world that you are entering has been there. Their support is so important. So it's been helpful. Again, I say it all the time, to raise a child, in my opinion, takes a village. In this case, it takes an extra special village. Find that village and know that you're not alone. Know that you're not alone.
Absolutely. I think it's so important. I've witnessed it even in the support group when I have a parent support group. And the parents are all in different points in their journey. But for a parent of a 3-year-old to hear from a parent of a 10-year-old that they have been on that journey and that it's going to be okay. And yes, there will be days where you just wish it wasn't the case, and that and after being in the hospital for several days with your child, but then to know that their child's going to be okay, and then to hear from an adult who's been through that journey and is still on that journey, but to know that their child's going to be okay and that their child's going to be successful in whatever that means for that child, I think is really important. So I agree with you. It does. It takes a village.
And I'd like to add, don't limit your child. I remember people on our journey telling us certain things. She won't be able to, or I'm not sure, or you are the parent. You know your child's potential. You know their strengths as well as their weaknesses. Be their biggest advocate. Be their cheerleader, because you know best. You know best. Not everybody walks the same walk that you do. Although they deal with children, all of them are so unique. And just remember, be your child's biggest cheerleader. And if someone said, I remember somebody telling me certain things. She may not talk clearly. She may have some academic challenges. Okay, Well, I'd like to see where she would be if we believed that and didn't allow her to be her own person. So it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to understand and take in that information, but you know your child best.
Yeah, I think it's the thing that I remember to this day is how my parents advocated for me every step of the way. And that made a huge difference, I think. And I think, and I always say to a parent that when they're in the thick of it, that I think that the thing they're going to remember is how you advocated for them. Because it's true. I really do remember that so well. I'd like to ask, I know, Nancy, that you are a 2-time cancer survivor. I was curious, what did your daughter teach you about getting through that experience?
So it was certainly challenging because I remember the advice of one of our doctors, because we didn't need to have surgery early on because it didn't affect Andrea's sleeping or eating or anything like that. But I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second, Dina.
Okay.
What was your question again?
And my question is, what did your daughter teach you? As
Oh,
someone
yes. So when she was going through some of her challenges, when they first started, was the first time I had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to maybe put certain things on the back burner so that I could get through it. But the second time was when we were going through one of her biggest surgeries, and she really just taught me resilience. She taught me that take one day at a time, one moment at a time, and we'll get through this. She has just been an inspiration to me on a lot of levels, as have all my children. I can't, as a parent, even understand how it affected them, but they did amazing through the whole process of both cancers, so both times. So kudos to them for being strong enough to carry me when I needed to be carried.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So we just have time for a couple more questions. So I guess my question is to Joe. I know you are participating in Races for Faces next week. And when was the first time you and your family got involved with Races for Faces, and what did that mean to you?
So it meant a ton to me. I remember coming by the office and meeting everybody after my sister had talked to me. I donated a portion of my race winnings, and she donated as well. I believe that was 2019, and just like it just means a ton to me. And like I love the idea behind it as a race car driver too. It's like a big fundraiser that I can get behind, and because it really fits in well with what I do as a profession. I try to get behind all the fundraisers, but I absolutely love Races for Faces. I can't wait for it to be back in person as well, so I can get up there. But virtual works as well, and I'm really excited to be a part of it. Absolutely love it, and I just love being able to help people.
And we are so grateful to have you part of our virtual Races for Faces again this year. And I guess my last question is for you, Nancy. So why did you want to get involved in myFace and be a board member of myFace?
So again, I think that it's important to give back. I think it's important to help. I think because of what I went through, I have some expertise or knowledge to share. I think myFace is an incredible organization. Again, the first time we went to visit your office with Joe, I was impressed with everything that you do, the services that you provide, the support you give to like NYU Langone Health. It just was so amazing that I said I wanted to get more involved. So I went to the Races for Faces and I volunteered for the day. And then I wanted to be more involved. So I was helping with the gala, but unfortunately the pandemic didn't allow the gala to happen. So I was approached and asked if I wanted to become more involved and be a board member. And of course, I had some questions, but again, meeting the other board members and the passion and the commitment of myFace made me want to be more involved. I have volunteered. I have been part of other organizations. The energy is like no other. We, at one of Joe's races, were able to invite some of the myFace families to a race. And again, meeting the families and the stars, I just want to do more. I want to help. So I'm in.
Thank you. I have to say, these kids, I feel the same way. These kids have my heart every time I see
Yes.
them on stage or at an event, or and I always say, if you can just find that thing that they can excel at, and I think we heard that tonight, and I just watching them come out of their shell is just so amazing to me, because I know that was so important for me growing up, and I think that just finding that something that they love to do. For
Absolutely.
your daughter was the lacrosse and writing, and for you, Joe, it's the race car driving, and I think
Yeah, I mean, everything in life is a journey, right? And like the biggest thing that I want people to understand, and just it's, you have to have small victories, right? Like I tell people all the time, win the day. Like whether things are going good or bad, win the day, win at something, because all of those small victories end up putting you further ahead in the end, right? Like it all is building up to your big win, right? Like whether you're having a good day or a bad day, always win at something, small victory. Find something that makes you happy. Find something that keeps you going, right? Don't let it get you down.
I think it's so perfectly said, and a great way to end this amazing conversation. So I thank you both so much for joining me today, and I think we could go on and on, but we don't have that time. So again, thank you so much. And I really want to say that I'm hopeful that these conversations can help others better understand our stories, while also creating a kinder world for all people with craniofacial differences. For 70 years, myFace has been dedicated to changing the faces and transforming the lives of children and adults with facial differences by providing access to holistic comprehensive care, education, resources, and support that pave the way for better outcomes. To learn more, please visit myface.org. And I also just want to mention that if you are around on Sunday, September 19th, I hope you will join us for our virtual Races for Faces event. What's great is that you can join from anywhere around the country, and you can learn more at racesforfaces.org. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to myFace's YouTube channel to catch future live broadcasts of myFace, myStory. You can also listen to the audio recording on your favorite podcast app, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Audible, and iHeartRadio. And if you'd like to receive email reminders of new episodes, sign up at myface.org/mystory. That's myface.org/mystory. Thank you.